Hey, we were looking over, well, you were looking over some of the guidance on this American Rescue Plan funding. They should just start saying 550 to 610-ish million. But it's funny, you think about, that's a lot of wiggle, a huge amount of wiggle room, right? As we were anticipating 664, Treasury came out and said
553.5.
Right. And then Adelup had countered, I think, with Crystal Pagos and Augustine, the communications director, sending something from Ed Byrne that said, oh, well, there's still other funding that we're getting down the line. So it should all balance out. But the number they had thrown out was $604 million, right? Well, we're getting hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay.
Yeah.
Right there. And that big meeting happening 2:30. Depends on who you ask. They told the Republicans 2:30, the Democrats 2. They told Moylan and Joanne Brown, oh, it's at 5 o'clock. Is that just
You're
funny?
bad.
Is that just funny to us? Oh. Anyway, so what was that guidance you were telling me about, though?
I took it down. I cleared my computer. Yeah. I'd have to pull it back up.
So anyway, in this guidance from Treasury, they basically tell all the state and territory governments like how they can spend this money. And then one of the ways that they can spend this money, and this is really, really just putting this point out here to remind some people how fortunate they are. One of the ways that they're able to spend this money for state governments is to hire people, because if you read this guidance, it says that a lot of state governments laid off government workers because of the pandemic, right? I mean, we didn't have that situation here in Guam. We were hiring. We were hiring a digital engagement manager. We're hiring a special assistant for the infrastructure. We're giving $10,000 pay adjustment. So it's a little bit of a different story here on Guam, but I just wanted to put it in perspective for you guys, just to know that we're very blessed here, whether it's Santa Maria Kamalin or, pandering to government employees because of the upcoming election. I don't know which one it is, but whatever. It is what it is. So there you go. So in some state governments actually laid off government workers, which, it's tragic, right? But here, a lot of our government workers got paid to stay home and pandemic. It's our culture, guys. It's our culture. It's an Malik, okay? But, a lot of government employees didn't just stay home and get paid. A lot of them went out and did the work, like Sergeant Paul Tapao, the Guam Police Department. Never stopped working. We never stopped working. Good morning, Sarge.
Hey, off a day. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Sabrina. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thanks.
How's the quarantine treating you? Good?
Well, yeah. Government quarantine wasn't so bad, but I was ready to go. And so, last night I got the call that I could be released to home quarantine. So here I am at home.
Yep. It's good. It's good to see that you're okay and everything. So welcome home. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess we'll just start with this high-speed chase, Sarge.
We did have an officer involved shooting that occurred on Sunday morning, shortly before 4 a.m. Now, this initiated as a stolen vehicle pursuit, started in the central precinct or the central area of Mahina, which led to officers from the Tumon Tumuni Precinct Command and the Dededo Precinct Command assisting with this pursuit, as the pursuit ensued in from the central proper of Mahina to Tumuning, Harmon, Dededo, and Jigo. And at some point in time during the pursuit, while in the Dededo area by Chalancota, the vehicle, the Jeep Wrangler, had rammed two official vehicles. One of them, was assigned to the Central Precinct Command, and the other was assigned to the Tumon Tumuni Precinct Command. 3 officers engaged by discharging their issued firearms, their duty firearms. 2 officers were from the Central Precinct Command, and 1 was from the Tumon Tumuni Precinct Command. The individuals were later apprehended at a home along Chalan Nemsley. We didn't we did make an arrest on 26-year-old Luis Camacho for charges of theft of a motor vehicle, reckless driving, aggravated assault, assault on a police officer, and eluding a police officer. The other individual that was arrested was 20-year-old Ilani Kaylin Wright. She was charged for burglary to a vehicle, assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, criminal facilitation, and guilt established by complicity. Both individuals were subsequently booked and confined. Being that this is an officer-involved shooting, our detectives from the Criminal Investigation Division and, of course, our Internal Affairs section were activated to assume their respective portions of the case. So this is an ongoing investigation. We did, although we did make an arrest, we still are working with our detectives and our Internal Affairs investigation.
So is it because the firearm was discharged, that's just kind of a routine that an IA is launched? One thing I noticed, One thing I noticed though was in the magistrate's complaint, there wasn't any reference to, the officers having opening fire on these suspects, but it's in the release. Why the difference?
The magic report is pretty much to get the from the AG site. Our officers did indicate that the officers had engaged with the use of the firearms. Because of the fact, just going back to your question, because going back that the officers were placed on administrative leave, there's a joint investigation with the criminal aspect and of course the administrative. But we did indicate that in the report that shots were fired by the officers. I don't know why the magic report didn't indicate that with the findings, because that had to be prepared for the confinement and of course moving forward with the rights to due process for the individuals that were arrested.
So when they opened fire, it wasn't enough to get these suspects, right? So did any of the did the bullets? Where did the bullets go? I mean, were they aiming for the tires or?
This is still ongoing. So there's it's the dynamics of the situation. So. Again, we'll release our findings. We've been very transparent with all our officers about shooting. Our last incident, of course, was the Tawuning incident with Mr. Tapao. So, we are, we will provide the findings as it is developed in both our criminal and, of course, our administrative portions. So, again, this is still ongoing to determine the avenue of the investigation, but we are also in contact with the Office of the Attorney General in regards to this incident.
Mm-hmm. And why again would the AG's office be contacted? Is it part of the IA investigation?
So we have two major aspects here. One is of course, the arrest of the two individuals, and of course, should any criminal findings and everything, our detectives work closely with them in the event there's also wrongdoing. So being that this is the preliminary stage, remember this is a joint investigation in both a criminal aspect and an administrative aspect, so that we can determine whether there was criminal wrongdoings in either or, and of course any violation of policies and procedures from the officer, as we've done and before in previous past with any officer involved shooting.
Is Chalancota, is it a populated area?
Is that a druggy area, Sarge?
No, yeah. Chalancota, a lot of people refer to Chalancota as Magic Mountain. I don't know if you ever experienced that when you were young, got your first license, you go to Chalancota and you go to the lift. So that's a very rural area.
Rural.
Bree, that's where I did the dirty politics with all the abandoned vehicles. It's a land trust area. Right. Yeah,
I mean, you look at the greenery from the roadway, but you take a few steps into the jungle line and you find the remains of human beings, ancient human beings.
Sarge, are you able to deter, or can you say how many shots were fired?
Not at this time. This is really still, the incident did occur on Sunday, so we are still in our preliminary state of the investigation. So, our forensic science division, we're out there at the scene to include even our highway investigators. So, we are still putting everything into perspective with the investigation.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of the two suspects, none of them were hit with gunfire.
No, they were confined. None of them were,
injured or anything.
Yeah, medical treatment and stuff. So
Mm.
we were able to get them into the Department of Correction. So, I mean, it was really dynamic. The report in itself was, I believe, 2 o'clock. They reported the vehicle was stolen, and we were able to, locate the vehicle in the ordered area. And of course, that's where the pursuit started, was in the mean area. So.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was interesting the way that you guys were able to track the vehicle because the cell phone was still in the car, right? And so it was pinging. They were in order to track where the car was at. So.
Yeah. So the victims in this case were able to work closely with our customer officer. So providing the play-by-play and of course giving the updated registry of the phone in itself, which provided really aided this investigation. I mean, the intent really, as the case progresses, we'll probably see towards the intent of the 2 individuals that were in the car, as to why, we can only wait and see, to give them their rights to due process, of course.
Sarge, this Anthony Luis P. Camacho was just a little bit over on April 9th. He was arrested for theft of a motor vehicle, theft of service, theft of service, theft of service, theft of service, retail theft, confiscated contraband, possession, Schedule 2, fraudulent use of a license plate. Anthony Luis P. Camacho. So he's one of the guys, remember when I don't know if it's you or Sergeant or Major Anton we had on, but he was one of the guys that they busted down south. They took him up, and then he was booked and released because DOC had this non-confinement of nonviolent offenses policy, which they're now reversing, right? But is there any frustration on the part that this could have been avoided had this guy been, being seated?
That, the guys and girls in the Vaughan Police Department, we understand wholeheartedly. We do hear the frustration of the officers who do the processing and have to go over the book and the release, but understanding the full picture, right? Major Antoine had expressed that it's really, should an outbreak occur at the Department of Correction, who's going to be the ones that's going to have to sit and entertain this and address this is going to be pretty much on the personnel of the Department of Correction. So seeing where they were going and help and really assessing and of course the mitigation process at the onset of when we were at our peak with the COVID-19 issue. And of course, DOC was experiencing it. And I personally, as a citizen, that's the last thing I wanted to hear, was really an outbreak happening within our prisons, because we were seeing it stateside. And to give felons, individuals who are convicted and are going to the due process, waiting their adjudication, to be released back into the community while, not fulfilling their full term sentence, I think was going to be an issue that the community did not want to see. So seeing the leadership with the Department of Correction and of course reaching out to the Department of the Guam Police Department and the Office of the Attorney General, where nonviolent offenders were going to be booked and released, was a way in which they saw fit in mitigating COVID-19. And of course, the frustration of the officers were voiced. It was, understanding what we needed to do in our end. Chief Steven Ignacio had, assured the community that even our officers were provided training with Department of Public Health and the Guam Memorial Hospital in being able to test our arrestees should we go into confinement. Also, we were also doing our mitigation process because, we were exposed to arrestees back in the onset of COVID, where we had no information that these guys were, these individuals were positive of COVID. So now we are equipped. We have equipped our personnel to be able to test for the confinement of arrestees and also personnel who may be exposed to COVID-19. But we're hearing the concerns and the frustrations from the officers. But I think there's an understanding now that we're going to be working with DOC, that these repeat offenders that we're seeing are going to be confined so that they can be seen, and of course their cases be adjudicated, and of course go to the magistration report. And should the court see that these guys need to stay a little bit longer in the Department of Correction, then that's where we work closely with the Office of the Attorney General.
Paul, is there any update, anything new with drug testing at GPT? When we spoke with the chief last week, out of the 115 0 returned positive, but there was still several more officers that needed to be
Yes.
tested. And
Yeah, we were trying to hit 100% capacity with our sworn and of course our civilian employees. Catching the precinct was an issue with DOA because of the shift change and of the timing. So that's been addressed. So, fortunately I was, everybody that submitted to a test, this is one of the tests where we don't want to score high on. So our test came back. A lot of the individuals, everybody that was tested so far has, there was nothing significant to report. So that's a good thing. The chief has been committed with providing these types of, transparency with the officers. And of course, I, for one, being in law enforcement for the last 20 some years, to know that we have, officers within the rank that are, we do our due diligence in taking this off the street, and we have officers that may be facing addiction. This is a great way to root these out and, provide the assistance. And so unfortunately, we are a designated test subject or test employee. So, I think this keeps everybody in line, of course, upholds the integrity of each individual that chooses to pursue this path in law enforcement. But it's good, we're going to be working with DOA so that we can hit the precincts that have missed or that because of scheduling, we're going to be working with them. So Chief is, he's geared at getting that 100% compliant with every officer, every sworn officer, and of course, every civilian employee with the Guam Police Department. But so far we're tracking, it looks good for our department.
so far, anyone test positive?
None to report at this time. So everybody that has been tested has tested negative.
Okay, that's good.
What are the substances?
Saying about I'm sorry?
Sorry, what are the substances that they test for?
Oh, everything that's illegal that we're not permitted to have. Although that cannabis is illegal, it's still considered a Schedule 1 under the federal standard. And of course, because we are designated test employees, that's one of the substances that we are banned. Yeah. Unless you are, being seen or being treated medically, that you do have a prescription, and that can be taken into consideration for those medication that are prescribed. But you do have to have a doctor's notification, and you do have to be under current care of a licensed physician. But even those that are banned are scheduled subjects, Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and Schedule 3. So we want to assure the community that, again, we want to uphold the highest standards of integrity within the Guam Police Department.
So medicinal marijuana,
right.
Is that okay, not okay?
Well, you have to have, be currently under a licensed care of a medical profession, and of course be under the prescription. So, whether you were doing it, you were prescribed a substance, right, that's listed in the schedule. Then, if you were on that last year and you're still, you may have some lingering around, but you're not under medical care, then, that may be something of a concern that we may have to look into. But, again, it's standard practice. DOA will explain in detail as to who employee that may be under care, medical care, current care, will have these indicators when they do tests.
Yeah, I remember that was something that the chief said, that there are reporting requirements for officers or staff that have prescription meds. So they're supposed to already let GPD know. Yeah.
Sarge, though, if you're on,
I'm sorry.
If you're on
just to reiterate, you can't be under painkillers and everything and not report it to your immediate supervisor. And you take the risk of operating a vehicle, and then technically you're DWI. So if you have an injury, if you're seeing medical care that's going to require you not to operate a vehicle, we'll take that into consideration of the job specification for that specific employee or officer.
Well, speaking of DWI, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, Bree.
No, because this was kind of unrelated.
No, it's always related. Are you talking about Officer Dennis Santos?
No. I was going to ask about the resolution today, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. So what about the resolution, Sarge? There's a DWI, right? The driving impaired month or something?
I'm sorry, Chris, I can't hear you. I hear Sabrina with Your question again, sir?
You mentioned DWI, so isn't there, or as we speak, there should be something going on at the legislature today for the click it or ticket
Yep.
program, right? So what does the GPT have planned?
So we do have a schedule that's up. I'm not going to tell you but we are going to be providing awareness, public awareness. We do have scheduled next week events with the scope. I apologize. My years away from highway, I forgot the acronym of scope. I will reach out to them, but we are going to be doing click it or ticket and of course distracted driving as we move. And again, we asked this question about DWI checkpoints and stuff, right? And it's usually around this time where we have Memorial Day, we kick off the summertime and everything that we start kicking these federal initiatives such as click it or ticket, scope, impaired driving, and of course distracted driving. So we work closely with Department of Public Works, our ladies from Office of Highway Safety. We work closely with our Guam officers from the GPD Highway Patrol Division. So this is something in which you're going to see an uptick of enforcement, whether it be speed, whether it just be people are being flagged in for not using their seatbelt. Seatbelts do save lives, and also having kids in the proper car restraints. Car seats are really important. My son is 4 years old and he still has to sit in the throne. And we make sure that, we check, everybody is buckled up and we stay at a safe speed of 35. But, this is the campaign. It's the season where we start moving into our enforcement. Hopefully by next month, we'll be seeing more information about DWI sobriety checkpoints that should be coming out to the community.
What about that? Are the Arizona public safety officers coming back for the wet lab training?
That's when we have our training. So, yeah.
Because Chris is volunteering.
One of the things that, because we asked them, was that now that we've moved into legalization of cannabis, how do we test for that, right? So
where's the weed goggles?
Great opportunity, but the A-Ride, the advanced roadside impaired drug enforcement or driving enforcement, it's really when our officers have that tool under their belt, not only are we able to detect those that choose to drink, consume alcohol, but because of the use and the legalization of recreational cannabis, our officers now can detect if you're driving under the influence of cannabis, to methamphetamine. So, the A-Ride training is a step above the standardized sobriety test training for just alcohol. So we're seeing an uptick in that, and the use and the dependency of opioids and prescription drugs, we're seeing that too in the community. So we want to assure the safety of the community by arming and of course providing that training to our officers, because we're the ones that's going to be the first contact with these individuals, and hopefully we can save a life by taking those that choose to drive impaired off of the streets.
Wait, did you say that there might be a training where
with
you
cannabis?
guys would be yeah.
That was proposed. So, we asked that question when they were here, and it's like, I don't think they've done anything like that in Arizona.
Well, Sarge, I'm your guy. I'm here for you. I just want to give back to the community.
That'd be a great test subject. So, it's I know our guys.
No edibles though. I don't mess with edibles.
Yeah. So, Will Parkinson and I were also in the subcommittee for the Cannabis Commission. So we were the ones that came up with the 10
Sarge,
FAQs.
I have a feeling they're going to drug test you this morning if they find out you're hanging out with Will Parkinson.
Hey, you know me, man. I didn't score high in that test, so I'm good.
All right. Well, we got to run. So any DUI checkpoints this weekend?
We are not this weekend, but we are going to be having our scope enforcement and our click it or ticket and distracted driving. So, the resolution is there to provide awareness. So please, do your part, put your cell phones down, pay attention to the road, make sure your loved ones, your precious cargo are well taken care of, buckle them up, keep them in the car seats, because car seats do save lives. So, we can do this. I am going to be sending a report out for our fatalities. I have one coming out hopefully by today. So, our guys are, aside from the enforcement, we still have to entertain our fatal crashes that we do investigate. So let's bring our numbers down. I think it's the first fatality of the year. So we are going to be putting something up hopefully by today.
Which one is that?
Was that an auto bid?
That is an auto bid. You are correct.
Okay. Like as in an arrest?
Fortunately, there was no arrest that was been made. I just got the closure of the report from our investigators from the Highway Patrol Division.
Oh, Sarge, did you hear anything that we had Dr. Hoa on, and he had said that there was an accident where the driver had what they think the driver had suffered from hypoxia because he had COVID, so they had like a blackout due to low oxygen level, and then he crashed. I don't know, but it wasn't a fatality.
No. Was this the recent fatal for COVID?
I think it might have been that he made it past with COVID. I don't know. I'll go find out because the other media is listening, and I don't want to give it away.
No.
Oh, sorry.
But we'll find out more from our end. But I do have one report that I'm going to be working on generating and putting it out there for the closure from our Highway Patrol Division. But I also have the 2020 cases that I've updated. So we'll be putting a full spreadsheet out to show the closure and, of course, the causation.
Thank you, Sarge.
Roger that. You guys take care. Stay
You
safe,
too.
please. God bless.
That's
All right,
that.
stay safe.
There you go. Sergeant Paul Tapao. We're going to take